What's going on, guys? So today I just figured I'd go ahead and make a video teaching people how to make wheelie tunes on cars. I know some people might already have a decent understanding of how to build a wheelie tune, but I'm sure there's plenty. Okay, you really gotta interrupt me. But anyways, so I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that are relatively new to this game and might not know how to build wheelie tunes, but they see cars doing wheelie tunes. So I'm gonna start off with the Forza Edition GTR. It's got almost 3,000 horsepower. It's relatively simple. And let me go to the upgrade section. And I'll show you guys what you should put on your cars. So yeah, go to tuning and pretty much on any car. Some can do rear wheel. This car is stuck being rear. I know it's a GTR and usually all wheel, but this one is strictly rear. But we'll get into that later. Basically, the upgrade you're going to need is you're going to need to have rally suspension and you're going to need to have drag tires. This one comes with drag tires by default. Look at them big meaty tires. But yes, that's where we're going to start off. And I might as well go into the tuning while I'm here. So yeah, you're going to put your tire pressure all the way down to 15 pounds per square inch, or if you use a different measurement, just take it all the way to the left. It should be the same thing. Gearing is more tricky. We'll get into that here in a minute. Alignment, you can just keep it default. Same with anti-roll bars. Stiffening up your anti-roll bars can keep your car more straight when you do a wheelie, but usually it's not that big of a deal. But the big thing is the springs. So it depends on the car, but you're definitely going to want to have your rear as high as possible. And your front you can have low, but if the car is, like if you have the springs as high as possible and the car is transitioning too quick, you can lower the front end to give it a little more transition time. The springs you can start all the way to the left. The front doesn't really matter. You want to keep them like relatively soft. But in terms of the rear, you can start by having it all the way to the left and then gradually moving it more and more, depending on how much of a wheelie you want, which I'll explain here in a minute. So I'm going to put this back at 700. Damping, this is important. This is pretty much the setup that I always run. I go 120, 21. You're not going to want to touch these 220s, but if you want the car to be a little more stiff, you can increase the rebound stiffness, maybe a max of like 10 or 12, but at least for this car, the 120/21 setup always works, and you can always start off with this setup. So rally spring is with soft suspension, especially in the rear. Increase the ride height in the rear and possibly the front, depending on how much of a wheelie you're trying to do. You got your damping and your differential. You're just going to want to max that out as well. So now I'll go ahead, go to the drag strip, and I'll show you what this car does, and I'll show you what the changes do. I like this drag strip every year because it's a little more quiet. So anyways, you can use launch control, or you can just use I just play regular manual. I used to play manual with clutch, but alright. So I'm just gonna bang off the rev limiter. You can see what this car does. So that's what the current settings and even with launch control should still do. But you kind of hear how the bumper drags the ground. Don't really want that because, for one, it makes your car not steer straight as you can tell. It kind of goes off to the side, and also it slows you down. So what you do to counteract that is you go right here, you increased the suspension a decent bit. You can add a little bit of damping. I'll go to like 5 on both. I usually try to keep them pretty even. I don't really know if it makes that big of a difference, but that's what I'm going to start off with, is increase the rear stiffness and go ahead and stiffen up the damping. We'll see how much of a difference that makes. Nothing too much of a difference. We got to adjust it some more. I'm also going to actually increase my final drive a little bit just so that gear doesn't ride out too fast. I'm going to put this at about 900. I'm going to increase the damping to 8 on both. Let's try this out. Okay, so see how I pretty much completely took the wheelie out of it? It is a way more controlled wheelie now instead of popping such ridiculous wheelie that you keep. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. I'll go ahead and show you my Miata as well, because the Miata is another decent little car, the Forza edition one, the one with the Viper V10 in it. It's quite a crazy car. It's not as fast as the GTR, but it is pretty close. But this one I actually have all-wheel drive, and the settings, you know, low tire pressure, you know, the gearing depends on the car. This one I have a very long first gear because it has so much power and it's so light. Anti-roll bar is not that big of a deal, but same deal here with the springs, low and high, soft springs, and then the damping I have up to 12. And of course I have the other sets 20 still, and then the differential you max out acceleration. And I actually have a 50-50 balance on this, so it's 50% power to the front and rear. So yeah, this tune right here does not do that much of a wheelie. I forgot how to change it earlier. I'll show you exactly how you fix that. So I'll just go back to damping and I'll start with them all the way to 1. Spring should be soft enough, and I'm actually going to go ahead and increase the ride height in the front. See the car kind of squats now. This car is not the greatest wheelie car just because it has such a short wheelbase. As you can see, it definitely picks that front tire. I'm sure we're going to get some other cars later in the game that are better. I might try to tune the Supra at some time. But basically, that's kind of how you're going to build a wheelie tune on almost any car that So yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and thanks for watching.